You know how I'm feeling right now? I'm feeling like you had me all worked up and all upset. And then as it turned out...
What does it say?
Pregnant? Wait, does it say that? For real?
Yeah.
Look at it.
Oh! I can't read it. It's too
I'm pregnant. I am so excited and so relieved, and I was really stressing it there. I mean, from the time that I knew I ovulated, because I timed it with the LH strips and watched my previous video about how to time getting pregnant, but I knew I timed it, and from that moment that I timed it until, 5 days before your expected period, you can take the pregnancy test with like 90+% accuracy, and it was negative. And it was negative day after day after day, and then so this has been one of the hardest weeks of probably my life. And it's only Thursday. And I feel like I'm like kind of out of tears, but I'm also just at a place where we're watching and waiting. Oh, as a doctor, I hate to tell people to watch and wait. And as a patient, I hate hearing watch and wait. So this week we went in for our first ultrasound, and the baby is measuring 2 weeks behind, which means that I would have conceived after I had a positive pregnancy test. Not possible, right? And the doctor's like, maybe you ovulated late. But I checked my Aura data, my temperature spike, I checked my LH test. I'm like, no, they correlated to the same day. I don't see how that's possible. And there was no heartbeat. And I asked, as soon as I asked, I knew already, and when I asked, I feel like I kind of got brushed off. And they were like, it's a healthy, normal early pregnancy. And they just cut the ultrasound and were like, you need to go get blood work done. And they just, as I started crying, my doctor said before she left the room, it's not your fault, these things happen. Which left me in a, which is it? Is this a healthy, normal early pregnancy, or am I having a miscarriage? So I went in for blood work the next day to check my HCG. And I told the lab what was going on. I asked, can you please speed it up? They're like, yeah, we'll have it by this afternoon. They initially had told me 24 hours, and it wasn't until the next day. In the afternoon, it was excruciating to wait for those results. And when the results came through, my HCG was through the roof, scary high. And so the next thing, my doctor was like, oh, this might be a molar pregnancy. And at your age, like the risk of cancer and all of that started. And I just lost it. I just started crying and feeling selfish, feeling like I have 2 children, who was I to go for another child, and now this is happening, and and then I don't even want to share this because people are going to say like, oh, what did you think at your age? And just like spiraling in my own mind. And then I'm like, wait a minute, these are really high results. So I'm like, this just can't be right. And we get a hold of the lab and ask them to confirm. And in fact, they misreported by a lot. And when we got the results back, it was exactly where it should be at this stage of pregnancy. It's been a complete emotional roller coaster of expecting to go in, check for a viable pregnancy, and it wasn't a topic, so we can be grateful. But I feel like I do that kind of bargaining thing where I'm like, we'll be grateful for this, but So first it's like no heartbeat, like this might be a miscarriage. And then it's like, oh my God, this might be a molar pregnancy. You might have a tumor. And then it's, oh my God, it's somehow normal. Your HCG is normal and you're measuring as if you're 2 weeks later. It's a lot. And so we're going back next week for an ultrasound. This is the thing about pregnancy is you take your prenatals and you exercise and you do everything right, and a lot's still not in your control. I think it's very hard as a human to be like, how do I not have control over this? Like, what can I do? What can I do to intervene? There's nothing. But wait and get that ultrasound and hope everything's okay. There's just been a lot of tears, and it has been a very hard week. And I will keep you posted on what we learn next week. This is probably some of the hardest and worst news that I've had in a very long time. I went to my OB so excited for the first ultrasound, like you do. Excited to hear the heartbeat, to see baby, and things weren't measuring right. And I knew in that moment that things were not right. So I was told to come back, but I honestly just started crying in the office because I knew when I looked at that ultrasound. So I came back the next week and they, told me like, oh, it looks like things have improved and there seems to be a heartbeat and you should just get another ultrasound next week, which I was leaving for New York and then London with my family, which is for work and a very exciting trip. But they were like, just get an ultrasound while you're in New York. And at that point, I called my maternal fetal medicine specialist because they couldn't give me an estimated due date. They said it was too early to be able to tell. And so, as I tell you this right now, I am holding it together. I've gone through a lot of the grieving process. There's been a lot of tears. Like me trying to write a talk at my desk and finish up my book, and just crying. And I don't think I've ever felt so worthless in work in my life. I couldn't meet with people. It's just a lot of tears happening. So the day before we left, literally the morning before I flew out, I went to my maternal fetal medicine specialist, and she is amazing and a straight shooter, which is what I feel you need. As a physician myself, it's my job to put my discomfort behind the patient's needs. And she does a very good job with that. Nobody ever likes to deliver the news that a pregnancy is non-viable. And yet, a lot of them just don't. I think my OBs knew. I knew. And I got the confirmation from my maternal fetal medicine specialist who advised me to go on my trip and to allow my body to process this on its own, which is great to hear that that's the best approach, because she was like, if you want to try again, we don't want to do a DNC. She's like, they'll scrape you down your uterine lining so much that it can take time to build it back. And she told me at your age, you just need to allow this to happen naturally and try again. And statistically speaking, you have higher odds of conceiving within 3 months of a miscarriage. And so I'm like taking all the supplements and everything, and I'm also preparing my body to miscarry. So some of the things that I'm doing to prepare for this miscarriage, I'm continuing my prenatal. I need those nutrients and taking omega-3 fatty acids, which I've been on before. But those will help with prostaglandins. I'm taking magnesium, 600 milligrams of that. I started that today because today I'm having brown discharge, which is a sign of oxidated blood, which means that things have already started. And I've been having cramps, which it just feels like my luck, because tomorrow I take the stage to speak at an event that's been planned for 2 years that I've been preparing for. I'm likely going to miscarry on stage. And I'm going to be going through that, which is I don't even know what to say about that. But my husband's been like, you don't have to do it. But it feels like one more thing that if I don't do it, it's one more thing that I've planned for and I've put effort into, and to not do it is like just one more thing that didn't turn out the way that I was hoping for, which might seem silly to some people, but it's just really important to me that I get to do my work and to help educate and support these people with the information that I'm bringing. And I've just put so much effort into it that I can't not do it, even though I'm going to be in a lot of pain, likely, and it's going to be very hard. So I chose to not put out these videos about what was happening. I delayed everything because I didn't want these videos and this information to be out before I came to speak in London. I didn't want people to be coming up to me saying, I'm so sorry for your loss, or any of the things that people say. Really didn't want to have a conversation when I'm supposed to be in like speaker mode and presenting and doing my job, and to just have that wound opened over and over. I'm not ready for it. It will be something that, I will be ready to talk about at some point, but not today, not right now. Even though I know, because at my age, I have a higher risk of miscarriage, and this usually happens because of chromosomal defects. Even though I know all of that, it doesn't make it any easier. And in fact, like, the first place I went is that like I'm broken and that maybe this is impossible. And I caught myself doing what I've seen so many patients do before, and just recognizing that this is the humanity of it. This is the natural, normal progression of things, of like to question, even though I know it's not my fault, to just question, like, what could I have done differently? And was it this or was it that? And I've really had to slow myself over and over. People I've told have been incredibly kind, but also I've recognized that people I have told, like I had to tell my editor, I've had to tell the head of the conference, I've had to tell people because this is impacting my work. There's a discomfort because we don't normalize these conversations, and we're like told, like, don't tell anybody before 12 weeks because it might not be viable, and then you have to deal with that. But I used to believe that in my 30s, but now I'm like, I told people because I need people. I need support. Like, I want, even if I had that moment of joy with all of these people, only to have the heartbreak, I had that moment of joy. I had that. But other things that I've heard that I just want to caution people from saying. One of my doctors told me that now I have an angel baby looking over me. I don't want an angel baby. I want a baby to hold in my arms. And I get the sentiment, and it is sweet, but like in the moment, I'm like, that's not what I want. And that's not helpful. Hearing everything happens for a reason. If I punch you in the face, does that happen for a reason? No. But when you're going through the grief process, and it is so raw and difficult, and you're oscillating between extreme sadness and feeling despair and anger and bargaining, it's not helpful to hear that. The thing that I tell patients, and maybe it's not the right thing and what people need to hear, but is that there's absolutely no words that can bring you comfort through this. There's absolutely no words that take away the pain now or ever. And yet, it's important to recognize that the body has a very profound wisdom in that if things are not compatible with life, if that organism would not be able to live a full and healthy life, baby would not be able to live outside the womb. Their body and your body is going to choose the least suffering. Even though this is something that I really wanted, and that when women miscarry trying to have a baby, it's a very difficult situation. But I'm just having a lot of trust in the process that this was the best decision by their body and my body. Still don't like it, but that's where I'm at. So I'm going to move through this miscarriage, trusting the wisdom of my body, hoping everything is handled as it should be. And then we're talking about when we try again, which could be, it should be, maybe it should be an exciting thing, but it is always scary. It is always scary whenever you've had a miscarriage to try again and to get your hopes up again and to put your heart into it again. But this is the process, and I'm sharing it all with you. So thank you so much for being here, for following my journey, and I hope that this is helpful, that it helps normalize conversations around this and helps those of you who have been there or are there right now know you're not alone. You are not alone.